Hello everyone. On this channel, I feel that information about what is happening in China is often not correctly conveyed to countries other than China, so I will be disseminating the information I have gathered in English. I'm getting information from multiple media, so I'd be happy if you could comment on the content of the video. Also, my native language is not English, so I use an AI speaker to create the voice to convey the information correctly. If you like it, please subscribe to the channel and support us. This time, I will explain the abnormal weather in China. In recent years in China, if there is no rain, crops will not be harvested due to drought. When it starts to rain, there is a tremendous amount of damage, and the situation continues to affect the lives of many people. Every year, China suffers from severe flood damage. As a role of the government, it is necessary to prevent damage so that damage does not occur. Our role should be to take preventive measures to minimize the damage if a problem occurs, but China encourages heavy rains to increase the damage. In China, the damage caused by abnormal weather and man-made disasters is not improving, but worsening. Since the beginning of this year, floods have occurred several times in inland China. There was an article about Hunan province, so I will introduce it. Around the end of June 2023, there was heavy rain in the western part of Hunan province. As a result, floods and landslides occurred one after another, burying farmlands, cutting roads, and destroying buildings. As a result, the lives of the local people were greatly affected. It goes without saying that the government should take preventive actions against natural disasters, but how to restore the site when a problem occurs is also an important point. The Chinese government is saying things like, "Our economic development is amazing," or "China's GDP will eventually surpass that of the United States." If the economy is developing, I think that when a natural disaster occurs, money should be poured in to quickly restore the disaster site, but the general idea in China is that the people should unite and proceed with the restoration work, and the local people should do something on their own. Even if the GDP increases, if the government does not do anything, even if a disaster occurs, the people will not be able to enjoy the benefits of economic development. China as a whole may have built up wealth, but it was only a few special people who were able to enjoy the wealth. Wealth does not flow to ordinary people, so people's lives are very inconvenient and dangerous. In the first place, the Chinese Communist Party is not thinking about making people's lives safer. In order to improve safety and quality of life, it is necessary to increase GDP, but it is meaningless if the number of poor people increases, natural disasters occur frequently, and if disasters cannot be restored at all. Rather than just looking at economic indicators to evaluate what kind of country China is, we need to look at how people living in China live specifically and what happens in the event of a disaster. In any country, cities develop on land facing rivers rather than on mountains. Therefore, when torrential rain occurs upstream of the river floods downstream, causing considerable damage. If the situation had been the same for a long time, people would have built a town away from the river. Recently, the weather has been abnormal, so if there is a lot of concentrated rainfall, flooding will occur in places that have never occurred before, and the damage will be greater. However, IT technology is currently developing, so I think it is possible to predict the occurrence of damage. If the government feels like it, I think it can take some kind of countermeasure, such as encouraging people to move to safer places, or focusing on flood control projects to prevent rivers from flooding even in the event of torrential rain. However, although the Chinese Communist Party spends money on armaments, it does not spend money on flood control and other things that make people's lives more convenient. Why is China spending money on space development and military development even though it is actually in a lot of trouble economically? If it were a normal country, it would be possible to turn money around because it wouldn't spend money where it was spending a lot more money. While it is important to increase defense spending, people's livelihoods are also important, so we need to strike a balance. However, a country that thinks that the lives and safety of its citizens is not the responsibility of the government can throw money into military equipment. It is a mechanism in which money flows to companies and sites related to the Chinese Communist Party. It may be good to make money by doing business with China, but the money that flows to China is not used for the safety of the Chinese people or the improvement of their lives, but for the expansion of armaments. Due to the expansion of armaments, it is connected to the danger of the surrounding countries. This year, the damage caused by heavy rains is not only in Hunan province, but also in various parts of Sichuan province. Since July 2023, rain damage has spread to Chengdu and other fairly large cities in Sichuan province. And it seems that not only Sichuan province but also Anhui province has been affected by heavy rains since July. Areas where many people live seem to be flooded, and even after the water recedes, we have to be vigilant against disease problems. If the damage is large, it will cause problems with infrastructure such as water supply, sewage, and electricity. Both floods and high temperatures would be unbearably painful for those who live there. Not only that, but now in China there is a movement to cut down the trees and turn them into fields. I think this movement will start in 2023, but China is now a food importing country due to its low food self-sufficiency rate. Moreover, the renminbi has depreciated against the dollar, so the cost of importing food has become very high. Food prices are rising, but the RMB is depreciating, so we have to pay more to import food. It is believed that perhaps the Xi Jinping administration believes that China may become a party to the war. However, we cannot go to war if we import food in dollars. So it seems that they are planning to raise the food self-sufficiency rate in the country. The Communist Party says we should cut down trees and turn them into fields to increase food production, but in China, the land suitable for farming is already being used for farming. There is also the problem of abandoned construction sites, but it is common to think that trees grow where trees grow because they are not suitable for fields. The Chinese Communist Party is forcing all of China to cut down trees and turn them into fields. However, cutting trees on a slope makes the land unstable, so when it rains, the slope collapses. Gradually, the fields are vulnerable to heavy rain, so the entire slope is washed away by the rain. Coming this far is a complete disaster. The damage caused by the floods is increasing because we are cutting down the trees on the slopes of the mountains to gradually turn them into fields. As long as there are trees there won't be any problems, but if a mudslide occurs and even the villages downstream are damaged, well, that's what it feels like. This is because China's culture, in which a single administration controls an excessively large land area and imposes orders from the central government that do not match the actual situation of the land, makes the problem more serious. That's all for now. See you next time.